ask, you can send me in WhatsApp.
Okay.
If you have any queries, in between, like if you feel like any questions to be asked.
It's already 8.
They need to stop this video. Is sir ready to go, sir? Yeah. Hi, good evening. Well, this is Lakshman Rao, the host of the interview. So today, which has been promoted by Fertile Brains Prasanna Kumar, and today my guest for the show is Chawla Sood from Ayodhya, the city of Lord Ram and Sita, where mythology Ramayana was born. Well, ma'am, good evening. Thanks for being on my show, and it's an honor and a privilege to know you as a person and as a poet. Thank you, ma'am. Welcome to my show, the interview.
Thank you so much, Lakshmanji. It's indeed a privilege to be here. And I have been associated with the Fertile Brains, and we have seen you also on the same platform. And it's indeed a pleasure to be here today. I feel
Thanks
so
a lot, ma'am.
nice to connect.
Yeah. So here I would like to read out a short bio of you for our audience. Chawla Sood is a bilingual Indian author and a translator whose literary works has been published across the globe. She has published 2 poetry collections in Hindi, 1 in English, and translated few books in English. Her poems have found resonance in English languages such as Tamil, Italian, Spanish, Chinese, and Arabic too. She is the founder chairperson of Gulzar Sahitya Samiti, established in 1998, and an active member of various literary organizations. She is an awardee of Panorama Golden Book Award 2024 for her book Tone, a patchwork of moonlit emotions, and Nandigram Ratan Samman 2024 for her contributions in the field of literature. She is a recipient of quite a few other literary honors. So welcome, ma'am. Welcome to my show, The Interview.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Cool, ma'am. Nice to have you here. Ma'am, so going ahead, like how do you feel being interviewed, ma'am? Is the first question.
I feel that I'm important. I've done something in life to be interviewed.
Yeah. Cool. Like when it comes to your personal life, like how is your poetic journey? Where did it all started with?
I think it started quite young. I was quite young. I was in school. And I really liked to, I made a diary to write down the quotations. And I was very fond of quotations, and I used an appropriate quotation for any occasion, like. So the nuns in my convent, they really loved me for this. And my writings, my letters and my essays, they were on the notice board most of the time, in English as well as in Hindi. I was doing well in both the languages. Apart from science and maths, I think I did well in the languages. And my languages made up my, position in the class. And I literally managed to get through the maths, My bio was good because my art was nice, and literature was my love. I think since school days, I liked to write. And my first poem, my first write-up was in class 6th.
Okay.
for the school magazine. And
Okay.
I did not
That's
take, I did not even tell
great.
anyone at home. And we were in, it was the last period, I still remember, it was the last period in the class, and our nun came and asked us to write something. And
Okay.
in the entire junior section, my write-up was taken and published in the magazine.
That's great.
So, yeah.
So your journey started from there, friend, from there on.
Yeah,
That's nice. So in this journey, like at what age have you started to write? Like to write in the sense like on a professional levels, or to take up poetry so seriously and to pursue it. So when did that start?
I never thought that I'll be a poet or something. I was, but I had maintained a diary since class 9th.
Okay. Okay.
So
Since
I
then
knew
you
that I was, so I
yeah.
used to write, and I used to pen down thoughts, and generally, I won't say there wasn't rhyme in it, but the rhythm was there.
Yeah.
So, and that whatever I used to see, I was very observant and very sensitive, and that is, I think, what made me write down and pen down. And when it was in the year 80s, somewhere mid 80s, 86, I think my first poetry got published in the Pioneer.
Okay.
That was a leading newspaper.
That's
And
nice.
I sent and I forgot about it. And
Okay.
when I I received a money order for rupees 25 25 rupees.
Okay.
That was in 86 I received. And then I thought that maybe I can write.
Right.
So
Okay.
this
So that
was my
inspired.
first remuneration which I got for poetry, 25 rupees.
More than remuneration, it's like acknowledgement, like acceptance by the others, like whatever we write, like it's being accepted by others. So that gives you the gut feeling to go ahead. That's what I feel.
Exactly. Exactly. So
Yeah.
that was something, that what I'm trying to say is being accepted by others, by the readers. People are coming to know about. So that was my first poetry.
Acceptance or acknowledgement. Yeah. Ma'am, coming to your book, The Tone. Okay. It's a very interesting title to have it, because tone in the sense like it's not a negative word, like it gives a straight pictured vibe, in the sense like you might be tone more or less, you might be tone from within yourself. And you have come with the tagline as well, a patchwork of moonlit emotions. How do you describe in your own words?
What I felt was, this is the book Torn, like the cover.
Yeah.
And I felt like all these poems, they are written uh, uh, in a different moods and mental shifts, like and different emotions. But somewhere deep down, they carry the same, um, uh, you know, the same depth, the same line. The surface beneath is the same somewhere. And I decided to align them into the sections according to their nature. And as I've written in my foreword as well, that in the preface as well, that we all have our own share of darknesses in life, and we have new moonlights and a slice of positivity, section of hope and a ray of brightness, and full moons, and some unforeseen tragedies also, tragedies which leave us shattered, and those moments which eclipse our emotions. So I decided to sectionize them in different these sections. And because many a times we fall then we gather ourselves, and that is a new moon for. And human, especially female emotions and human emotions in general are. I feel so that they have uh, been affected by moon tides and all that. Even the tides are being affected by the moon phases. So are the emotions. So I feel.
So that is
So
the
I
reason,
tried to section play.
yeah. So that is the reason you have brought in that moon and the illustrated aspects of the moon, I believe so.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
And
Ma'am,
moon being
like
a
when it,
favorite. Hmm.
yeah. So
Yes.
there are many poets like take up moon as a subjective matter, man. Like many people who try to take up poetry, their first love or it's like first crush is something like moon. They try to pen poems on moon. I don't know whether you observed this or not. Do you agree with this?
Yeah,
Like,
I do. My favorite poet, my mentor, my Gulzar Saab,
okay.
is he says he has a copyright over the moon because all his poetry they have moon in it, and
That's great to
so
know.
he always says so.
Yeah.
Mm.
Ma'am, coming to your first poem, like The Audacity of Hope,
Mm.
it's something like a story that you are telling in a poetic way. So, do you carry the
Mm.
same pattern in all the poems? Like, do you like that style of telling a poem?
I think I do because I always feel there is prose in poetry, and there is poetry in every prose,
Prose. And
the
there's a
story or whatever you say.
story to tell also.
Hmm?
And that combines with a story, and that comes with a story as well.
Yeah. There is a very thin line between,
And yeah,
it's very different
very
between a story and. I think the emotion content, the emotion quotient is a bit higher in poetry, and a, just a bit lower
so,
in
prose.
prose or a story. I think a
Yeah.
story, any anything, whatever you try to write, if it's a story, like I just it brings to my mind that there is Hemingway's one story that is for 6 words, 6 word short story.
Oh,
Baby shoes for sale, baby shoes never worn.
oh, that's
That's
nice.
it. It is
Uh,
a story.
Story.
For sale, baby shoes never worn.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
I think it is much better than a poetry. And I mean, you can call it a poetry, you can call it a story, short story,
And even a
but
quote as well.
and there has been lots of debate.
Hmm.
I mean, it has been very debatable that it is a short story, the shortest short story, and it has been attributed to Hemingway. And but then it was a long topic of discussion that uh, where the poetry ends, the story begins, or where the story. If you read between the lines, like I feel, every poetry has a story, and
As a
every
story.
story has a
Poet.
poem in
Yeah,
between. They all carry, and
yeah, that's nice to
so.
know.
Hmm.
That's a very
So
good
I
point
feel.
that you have projected. Yeah, that's a different perspective,
Hmm.
honestly.
Hmm.
Ma'am, you're known to be a bilingual poet. Does your thought
Hmm.
process of language decides the language you write, or do you decide to go with your mind voice? Because you write both in Hindi and English. So how does this thought process happen when you are into writing?
I think, you know,
You think in Hindi and write it in
these
English?
days. No, it's not that. I think, I don't, tame my mind that
Okay.
I want to go wild, with where emotions are concerned. I think I would go wild with my stories, and but when nowadays you see anthologies, they are theme based. So when I
Yeah.
sit down to write on a particular theme for a particular subject, on a
Yeah.
particular subject or a particular magazine with a particular word limit, but then I have to think in the language I'm writing. But normally, like when it is reflex, and I think it is a reflex action, and for that you have to be very observant.
Very
The
conscious.
first thought that comes to my mind, like if I'm seeing a rose, like I see
Yeah.
a rose behind this pink rose is very attractive. So, and then I'm observing the rose, and the thought, if it comes in Hindi, I'll write a poem in Hindi. If it comes in English, I'll write
Yeah.
it in English. And
No,
but
all that happens is like where the thinking lies. Either you think in Hindi or else in English. So that's what it matters actually. अगर आपकी
uh,
सोच हिंदी में आए तो गुलाब आएगी. अगर आपकी सोच if at all it's in English, you will say it in as a rose. As simple as that.
exactly, exactly. So how you feel is that it is the I only just when I have to write for particular
Yeah.
which I don't like. I don't want to. As I said, I don't want to tame my mind that you
Yeah.
have to write in English or in Hindi. But then when I sit down and I relax, and then I think, then at the thought process, like if I have to write on this rose, then I'll just close my eyes, and if I have to write it in English for a magazine, then I would just close my eyes. I'll think in English,
And
and I'll
channelize the
write in
thoughts.
English. Huh.
Yeah, I
So
got it.
that is that and this question, I don't know. I am surprised how you picked up this question, because I myself have been taught by like the language of my mind. Like I always go wild, like when I think that this if I see a particular thing, and if I'm writing on my own, and I always write on the subject I would the
Thanks a lot.
language I would prefer to write.
Yeah, thanks for the appreciation. Thanks for the appreciation. As I said, like, ma'am, like when I read your poems, like most of the poems are thematic or subjective in the sense like you choose a concept and creative art around it, rather something like an instinctive or impulsive motions. So as you said, like you sit in silent mode, like allow your thought process to happen, and you just try to journalize it. So this is what your style of writing is. Am I right, ma'am?
Hmm.
So
Right,
say,
right, absolutely.
yeah. So say something about this. Like, why do you choose subjects? Like, rather, why don't you go with your feelings and thoughts? Like feelings and thoughts, they're all like instinctive. Like the moment you feel something, you write it. Okay. And when you go subjective, like you choose moon, sun, or a flower or something. So those are all like subjective themes. So
Hmm.
why do you choose that way?
Uh, the poems and certain poems here have been written for an anthology. So,
Okay.
like different anthologies. So there I have to, they have already been published, and I have collected them here. So that is a bit there where I write is I take the subject first and then I write.
Mm, mm,
But like the poem, The Audacity of Hope,
hope.
where you said that it's being a narration. So
Yeah.
there is something which I saw.
Mm,
I
mm.
used to go for my walks, and I always love walking on the railway platforms. It's very weird, but I love to go on railway platforms and sit
Okay.
for a while. I love observing people there.
Okay.
So I used to go and I used to see a lady. She was always sitting there, and she used to comb. And every time I used to see some dog was sitting there, she used to comb and sing a song. And one day she was in, I asked the tea vendor nearby that she's always sitting alone. Doesn't she have a family?
Yeah, yeah,
So
I
he
got
said that she stays here, and we don't know much about her.
it.
So I I that uh, girl, she always haunted me, her face and everything. And when I came home, I really wanted to write something about her. That
Mm. That
what
inspired
is
you.
the
That
reason
inspired
she's.
you.
So
Yeah,
that is how it was a narrative or a poem. I don't know how it came, but it was something like that.
it's
So
nice, man.
I said, hmm.
Ma'am, when I went through the book, I was really baffled with this poem, the tone leaves. It has an enigmatic question within itself. So I request you to read out that poem, the tone, ma'am.
Okay, okay.
Because I feel like somewhere down the line you are torn within yourself.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah,
Right from the beginning, I think we all are, most of us are, especially the poets, because we
yeah,
have,
agreed, agreed, agreed on
right,
that.
we get emotionally attached to people, like this lady about whom I'm talking on the
Mm,
platform.
mm,
She was a torn soul,
mm.
and I could feel, uh, empathize with her pain. So that
Yeah,
is why I wrote. So the torn people, I think I'm very observant about whatever I see around me. So I feel the pain. The
that's a
poetry
great
here
quality to
around is
imagine.
not only about myself. Of course, there are moments I told you I have been through quite a few things in my life, and but then
Yeah,
at the same time I can feel the pain of others also. So this lady, even there is a poem about the mutilated princess Shupnakha. So I could
yeah.
even feel for her. I could feel for any mythological character. I can feel for a plant. I can feel for a ant. I can feel for a butterfly. So that is the sensitivity of
That's the
a poet.
sensitivity of a
Mm.
poet,
Uh,
wherein like you
so
bring in all those sensibilities. Yes, ma'am. Please
yeah,
go ahead with the poem,
so
the
I'll
tone.
read the poem. Torn. Have you ever worn torn shoes to an eminent institution? Have you ever worn torn shoes to an eminent institution, a torn dress to an elite party, have malfunctioned on the ramps of society, or have been stripped physically, emotionally, psychologically in public, molested, sexually assaulted, raped, been socially discarded or discriminated, have ever been blamed or shamed? If your answer is no, you can never ever evaluate the intensity of an abstract, dark, torn, monochromatic canvas exhibited amongst the most harmonious paintings at the World Art Gallery.
Yeah,
Mm.
superb, ma'am. Because
Thank
like
you.
you can't expect that thing to happen, right? So that had an enigmatic feel on me. That was very much subtle and like very much thoughtful. Yeah. So indeed a
Mm.
great poem, ma'am. There, ma'am. In the poem, the Easter eggs. I like this line. Lines of crucified my desires and emotions. Will you please
Mm.
shed some light on it? Crucified my desires and emotions.
You know, we have been living in a society where you love to do something, your
Yeah.
passion is something else, your profession is something else, you want to become something and you become something else. So what I feel is that there is always a discomfort and big, so many a times you have to crucify. Like I have been in a convent school throughout, so I always, whenever I used to see the Jesus Christ on the crucifixion, I used to feel that it is not the, I mean, so many times
It has a symbolic
it's
effect.
not the Christ, huh?
It
Right?
had a symbolic effect.
Yeah, symbolic effect, definitely a symbolic effect. And I always used to feel that we too crucify our desires, and they bleed, and they bleed inside us, and we that is what makes us right.
Yeah.
Because we need it has to come out. I wrote when I was very young. I used I wrote 2 lines in Hindi, which I would like to share. दर्द बाहर निकलने का कोई ना कोई बहाना ढूंढ लेता है. दर्द
हाँ,
बाहर निकलने का
कोई
कोई
ना
ना
कोई
कोई बहाना ढूंढ लेता है. जब आंसू खत्म हो जाते हैं तो पन्नों पे उतर लेता है. जब
वाह
आंसू खत्म हो जाते हैं तो पन्नों पे उतर
में
लेता है.
उतर आता
So what I feel is that writing, you have to, the emotions need an outlet, to come.
outlet.
You
It needs a vent. And moreover, poetry is therapeutic. Like whenever you went out or whenever you share with others, either to poetry, to art, or to any other person, it heals you. The wounds heals you, is what it's been said. And poetry is one such art, like it heals you from within,
definitely. And
therapeutically, psychologically, mentally, emotionally, and that's been said, and it's been proven also. It's proven fact. That. Ma'am, you like in this poem, the blackout. Uh,
hmm,
I read this beautiful line. The dark souls could not be eclipsed by fake lights.
hmm.
The dark souls could not be eclipsed by fake lights. So the poem had a personal touch of you towards your poetic voice. You just elaborate a bit.
Yeah, because I have seen the 1971 blackout. I was very young at that time.
Okay.
And the vague images which I had in my mind was that all the windows were covered with black paper, and this image I was hardly 6 years old, because I was 5 to 6 years old at that time. And this, I used to see my father used to cover, all the back with chart papers. His office, they used to, and the lights went off when there was, and we used to go under the table when there was the bombs and the aircraft craft moved. So all the lights were off. So this was something very vague, which I carried. This was in my memory. And while writing the lines which you just mentioned was, I I felt that though no, we all have some black holes and black moments and those blackouts inside us. And
Yeah.
no matter you move out, today we are move in high societies, and we move out, we are flooded with lights and everything, but uh, those lights are fake, and the light within us should be, brighter than the lights outside.
Outside.
So, and that is where it came. And
Very well described. Very well described.
mm,
Ma'am, on the other note, when I read your poetry, which is plain and simple, and like you don't bring in some complex figurative speech, or else tough metaphors, or else some abstract similes or something, nothing as such. Your poetry is simple, plain, and subtle and poignant. So what do you say about this? Like is it like a methodical way of thinking, like you need to put across your thoughts like this in such a manner, or else like it just happens that way?
you're right, absolutely, because you know even in Hindi as well as in English, my style of writing, I think, is simple.
Okay.
And the reason behind it is like, when I was doing my creative writing course, and
Okay.
I was told that I did a correspondence course in creative writing, and I
Okay.
was told that be as simple as possible and as expressive
Hmm.
as because if
Exactly.
you're very complex, and you write with complex, using complex words and very high English, and where the person would have to consult the dictionary, he will lose the thought of your work. So let your words relate in a language which is known to the other person. Well, most of the people, like, I won't say there are writers who won't acknowledge my work. You won't even consider me as a poet,
Mhm.
and neither do I want to put a tag of poet with myself, but these are my emotions. And
Yeah.
I feel very nice when people come and tell me, those who are not much of good, voracious readers, or haven't read much, but when they read my poetry and they come and tell me that we totally, you know, relate to it. This story brought tears in my eyes. Your poetry, I could feel it like it's my story. And when people say this, then I feel that
They are
I
connected.
think I'm writing for the general class. I'm not writing for the people who have been read so many books. So I don't go by that thought when people say that ये poetry नहीं है, this is a narrative. But I feel that when people when my people are liking my work, and the percentage might vary, but then it is okay.
Uh,
When my first book sold
that's
out, I could think of
that's your
writing a
style and
second
your
book.
substance.
And
That's
when
your
I
style that brings your
so
substance.
so mm,
Agreed,
so
ma'am.
and
Agreed.
when some big poets also when some big poets come and tell me that no, they write in meters, and when they
Mm.
tell me that it is for the first time that I am this is in Hindi they call it Atukant Kavita. So
Okay.
they say that when this is for the first time we like Atukant Kavita, then I feel
Okay.
nice that people want to hear me, so it's okay.
Nice. Like it's like a newfound style by ourselves. Like it's a style that has been generated by ourselves. So we need to be identified by our own style and substance. So that's nice. Like you get a unique identity of yourself at the end.
Yeah,
Is it?
absolutely.
You get a unique identity. Yeah, man. So,
Mhm.
even in this poem, Myths and Fact, you say that most women abandon their passion to sustain the harmony of their relationship because you speak about your personal life into your poetry. So, how does this, how do you explain this, man?
Yeah, because I used to feel like when I got married, and
Yeah.
those were uh, times, and I got married to a small town. It's now become a big on the map of world map, like Ayodhya is now a big city,
Yeah.
but it was a very small town when I got married, and it was called Faizabad. And I what when I came here, I found the life here is very
Simple.
people are going to kitty party, the only option, the only, and I was never fond of that gossip or something. So I was a very silent and a very quiet person, basically. So I thought that let me start off with and there must be some literary activity going in the town. So, but then I inquired and I saw that there are men have, and there are one or two women who are there, but they stopped writing because there was so much of, leg pulling and this and that. So the what I felt was the males, they ruled the literary.
They
So I
dominated.
started. So that was when in 1998 I started um, literary organization for women
Mhm.
who were not writers but were
They
good
were interested.
readers and literature lovers.
Yeah.
And today they are very good writers. Today they write well. So it was more like I just started for women. So
So you
and
created a
it
platform for them.
turned out to be yeah, a platform. I created for myself rather, and they all
Okay.
joined, and we all together, we
So
flourished.
okay. So this is how Gulzar Sahitya Samiti came into being.
Right, absolutely. Because Gulzar Saab was my favorite poet,
Okay.
and
You formed an
I
organization.
started, and then I started, and somehow it was I was lucky that to associate with him and tell him that we have started this samiti in your name. So
Okay.
he thought that it was just a temporary phase, and
Okay.
that will just go on for 1 or 2 years and stopped. So
Okay.
we are now 26
Yes.
years old, and and for 25th year we had Gulzar Saab coming over to a small town
Oh,
for
that's great.
this function.
So,
So
so,
that was
so
a great event.
every year you conduct a poetry summit over there.
For 25th, 5 years, we had people coming on. We did it on Amrita Preetam. We had theater on Amrita. Theater
Hmm.
wasn't a part of. It was long forgotten in Faizabad. The good
Hmm.
theater. There was
Hmm.
at the time there was a very good theater, a very good stage, and a hall for this plays and everything. But over the years, when I got married, I could not. It wasn't maintained, and then we restarted, and we asked uh, gave an application to the authorities to maintain this theater and everything, because, and after I think so many years, what we did was, we had a theater group from Bhopal, Vihan Theatre Group, come and perform on Amrita Preetam. That was for the first show they did it on Amrita Preetam here in Faizabad. Later, they conducted about 38 shows in different countries and
Wow.
states. But the first one was done here. And
That's great. Great to know.
yeah, and he says that he gives me the credit, that because he was trying to make a documentary, and I said, you all are theater people, why don't you do theater on Amrita Preetam? And it was very good. Imroz Saab wrote a letter to us that he was so much fascinated by that play, and that was a very nice play.
Will you please recite some of his lines, ma'am, for us? Gulzar Saab lines. We have read, we have listened to his songs in filmy songs, but can you recite some of his poetic notes?
Yeah, I remember
You
few by heart, which he says, नाम होते हैं कुछ रिश्तों के,
okay?
नाम होते हैं कुछ
कुछ
रिश्तों के,
रिश्ते
कुछ रिश्ते नाम के होते हैं.
नाम के होते हैं.
So,
Okay.
this is he loves playing with the words.
Take the words.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
That is why
then that is
poetry becomes a
something. And
brilliant.
see, it is so simple. It is like
Yeah.
it's so simple and so meaningful. So I love his, and he loves writing for children.
Hmm.
He's a uh, amazing person, and I think
Yeah.
I feel blessed to have him as my mentor, and as living in the same era, same age, like breathing the same air on the planet where he is.
So
So
whenever
I really,
we come across this song, I believe like he is the person who has written this song. Ye Ajnabi from Dil Se. Ye Ajnabi,
हाँ,
तू भी कभी
तू भी कहीं आवाज दे
आवाज
गई.
कहीं से. See, the poeticness, like it comes like from somewhere and nowhere, like you can't feel, you can just feel it and absorb and dissolve in it. That's the kind of poetry which he brings in.
We
I,
all have that ajnabi within us, and this is so. It gets, some parts of us we are still unknown to them, and they come up. Like at times, there was a time when I always thought myself to be very delicate, but then there was a time when I had to. I never knew that I was so strong that I could do that. So
yeah.
that was the ajnabi part, it took over. So I always say that Gulzar Saab knows, and
दिल की
I
बात है,
so
वो कर लेते
हाँ, कर लेते
हैं.
हैं, बिल्कुल बिल्कुल कर लेते
In one of my verse, I said, ma'am, love me for what I am, as I can't hate you for what you are. Love me for what I
हैं.
am, as I
Yeah,
can't
that's
hate
so
you for what you are. So
so beautiful.
that is something instinctive, like an impulsive thing,
Mm.
that love or emotion that comes out. So that I find very much with Gulzar Saab. Whenever we read his poetry or else listen to his songs, so we get fascinated. So apart from this, like how much of your personal life do you bring into poetry, ma'am?
I think right now, as it is like my personal, my professional, it's all poetry. Because I have been I've been very routine and I've been person basically, like as a student also, when I got my character certificate from convent, it was written the very responsible child, and that was only written for me because I was very responsible since childhood.
Ma'am, on
And that
the
I
other
am still today. But
on the other hand, sorry to disturb you, but like on the other hand, like whenever a poet publishes his book, brings out his debut, he is in the public domain. No matter whatever he writes personally or professionally or else anything he hides from it, like once he is in a public domain, like he's like he is from other people's perspective. You are nowhere concerned or related to you. Like you are from the other person's perspective. So how do you? Because many people, many poets, they hide many things within themselves. But I have seen your poetry, which is like you have openly disclosed and discussed everything of your personal life. So how do you feel about it?
not everything is personal, but yeah, what I feel is like the pain of my maidservant, the pain
Yeah.
of anybody coming inside my house, the pain of those people who were crushed during the COVID times under the railway platform. I I take it on myself and write. The only thing is that. So if my person who is coming to my house to clean my house, brooming and everything. So if she has been smashed by her husband and a drunkard and whatever. So that I feel her pain and I take it on myself and then I write. Had it been me, I'm blessed that it's not me, but then what if I would have been in her place?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
that is what many people ask me, are these poems autobiographical?
Oh,
Most of the people have asked. So I
yeah.
said, no, they are autobiographical, but they are not personal.
Personal.
So there is a difference. But
There's a clear
then,
difference.
yeah, I feel the pain, right? I feel the pain and then I write. And that
Can you
is,
recite some of your
something.
personal lines, ma'am? Can you recite some of your personal heart-touching lines? That whatever you
I
written.
write, there is a poem, Hopes,
Like
which
any
I,
two lines, any quotations, as you said, like you are fond of quotations, quote something. Can you recite some of your quotes? Because we are at the fag end of
not,
the.
I haven't written quotations like you do. You write beautiful quotations. Quotations writing
That's an
is a
honor.
difficult task.
Right. No, it just
But
happens, man.
then
Yeah, go ahead, man.
one of my favorite quotes is never explain. It's
Wow.
not by me, but it's by someone else. But it is a very, I keep it in my mind, never explain. Your people, your close ones don't need it. And no, your friends don't need it. And your enemies won't believe it.
Wow, that's
So
nice.
this is, I
That's
really love. That's my favorite quote. So I have stopped explaining myself to anyone, and my poetry does that for me.
yeah.
So that is the,
Here we are at the fag end of the show. So would like to throw some light on this session, ma'am. Like how was the session?
yeah. It's been, I just checked my watch and it's already been 45 minutes and we were scheduled for 40 minutes and we have already passed time. But it was such an interesting, I loved talking to you, and it was such an interesting that I think we are meeting for the first time one-to-one, but it was such a pleasure, talking to you, and but when you end it on a note, there's so much left unsaid,
yeah.
which is today. So that thirst to go for another session some other time.
Some other day. Cool, man.
So I think it was a memorable session, and I really loved it talking to you. Thank you so much for having me here. And
it's my pleasure,
I
ma'am.
feel
It's my
privileged
pleasure to have you on my show.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot for coming, and thanks for joining. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.